I'm going live on YouTube because they are doing the 12-hour charity stream, and I do not want to bump up against their charity stream because that's rude. So I'm going live via YouTube. Hi. Today, I'm really short because I have all my pillows down. Today was something interesting. And I am going live and I am wanting to talk about it because I think it's important to talk about. I think I need to talk about it. I want to talk about it. And I don't know, it was certainly something today. So, in case you don't follow me on Twitch, in case that's not a thing that you do, I've been doing a lot of mental health journey. I really need to get my Twitch and my YouTube on the same page, but that's a thought for another day. But so I've been doing a lot of inner child work. That's been fun. Honestly, it's been interesting. I've been learning a lot about myself. Learning a lot about who I am, just where the pain, where the wounds are. But once you get to a point, because you in the beginning, it's just like anything else. In the beginning, you have this massive problem and you address the massive problem first. So I've been addressing the major problems, right? And working on healing that and getting better. But eventually, just like anything else, you plateau. And then you're like, okay, so what's the next step? Right? You can't just start something and then just be like, okay, I've hit a certain point and there's nowhere else to go. It's never the case. You can always go somewhere. So, working on my inner child, working on healing those wounds, working on addressing my BPD, working on doing all that. So now it's time. Okay, I have gained a little bit more sure footing with my inner child. I started healing. I started becoming aware and being mindful and working on my DBT skills, on my basic DBT skills. Perfect, right? Great. Well, now it's time. You got to go to the next level, right? You got to keep moving. You got to keep moving forward. And so now I started my advanced DBT group therapy, which, yeah, it's advanced for a reason. It really, it's good. I'm very excited about it. We're really digging into some things in my one-on-one therapy in regards to being alone, which ties in to my inner teen work. And I remember I was having a conversation last week, not this past one, but the one before, with my therapist. And I was discussing why I was like, I really feel like it's time for me to work on my inner teen. And she's like, okay. And I said, that terrifies me. She's like, why does it terrify you? And I said, because I did some awful things. And that time in my life, I called it my dark 20s because I did awful things. And there was just an awful period in my life. And I was this awful person. And I shut that part of my life away. I literally blacked it out. I literally blacked that part out of my life. But just like the internet, nothing ever gets completely deleted. It remains forever on the internet. Your trauma, no matter how much you try to lock it away, your trauma stays there with you. So, and I thought that the whole reason that I had blacked out that part of my life, and I thought the whole reason that I called it my dark 20s was because of all these awful things that I did. And this awful person that I was in my 20s. In my late teens, early 20s. But it was time. It was time for me to start. I had to face it. I'm like, if I want to get better, I have to face that part of myself. That part that was awful. That part that was all those bad things that I've done, that bad person that I was, the things that I did, I had to address it. I was terrified though. I was terrified. But I did it. I was like, okay, now's the time. So I was doing some journaling. I was journaling on something completely unrelated. Well, it wasn't completely unrelated. It actually ties in later, but I mean, you don't need to know any of that. But there I was. And I could feel my inner teen in the back of my head. And like I had unlocked the door and I had opened it and I said, when you're ready, because you can't really force that part of yourself. I said to myself, I unlocked the door, opened it up, and I said, you know what? When you're ready, I'm ready to listen. Because that's what you have to do with a teenager. You have to let them decide. You have to let them decide when they're ready to talk. Or because if you try to force them to talk, it's not ever going to come out right. And yesterday, I was doing my journaling and all of a sudden it was like she was ready to talk. So I stopped whatever it was I was journaling about and just started writing. And I try very hard when I get in touch with that part of myself, when I really get in touch with that part of myself and I'm ready to listen to my trauma and I'm ready to listen to my pain and my hurt. I get there and I just write. I just write. I don't judge it. I don't try to force it. I literally just let the words fall out of my head and onto the page. And she had a lot to say. She had a lot of painful things to say. And it wasn't painful in the fact that it was anger. And I think that's the part that surprised me about the whole thing is it wasn't the fact that it was anger, it was pain. It was hurt. And then what ended up being on the page was a moment that was a very defining moment in my life, actually, that I had completely forgotten. And for a reason. It was a moment where I was so broken and so empty and so filled with absolute full body pain. That I was ready to stop the pain. And that was when, in that moment, when I had a choice, and I was by myself. That was a time I was living alone. And I didn't often live alone in my life. And that was one of the few times in my life where I actually lived by myself. And I had forgotten. And then it made sense. Why I was so terrified of being alone. Why? I was like, why? Why am I so afraid of being alone? Because the last time I was alone, like living alone and by myself, the last time I was alone, was the darkest, most broken, most painful period of my life. That's what was scaring me. That was what was terrifying me. Was I was afraid of going back and facing that reality, that trauma, that hurt, that pain. And I realized my dark 20s weren't dark because I was awful, because I had done awful things. That is literally what the lie I had told myself. It was the lie that I told myself, the gaslighting that I did to myself. It is what I had convinced myself for decades as a justification for shutting that part of my life out. Because it was easier, and here's the whole fucked up part of it is, it was easier to think about that part of my life as me being the bad guy. It was more palatable in my trauma and the pain and the suffering about that period in my life, the suffering, the mental and emotional, gut-wrenching suffering that I experienced was so great, was so awful, that I would rather have my brain, I would have rather convinced myself that the whole reason that I wanted to black out that part of my life was because I was the villain. Because I didn't want to sit in the fact that I was so hurt and so broken. That I couldn't mentally and emotionally handle it. How fucked up is that? And I wrote and I wrote and I wrote yesterday, and I the voices, the things that I used to say to myself, the voices in my head. How awful they were. And it all started to make sense. And my inner teen was not angry. She wasn't angry. Yay. We're doing the charity. My inner child, my inner teen was not angry. She was devastated. She was hurt. She was wrecked. And in her brokenness, I built a room inside my head. I built two, actually. And I threw my inner child and my inner teen in there, and I threw them in. At the age of 25, I can tell you exactly, at the age of 25. Because I can tell you exactly when I did that. I threw them both in there, and I shut the door, and I locked that door. And I was okay with letting them rot. And then today, and so I've unlocked the door, and I have worked on my trust issues with my inner child, and I've worked on the wounds, and I've worked on loving on her, and I've worked on that. So I built that up, and I was able to find a sense of safety within myself in regards to my inner child. Is it 100%? No, it's not 100%. And I still got a lot to do. But my inner child, I had built a relationship with her, and so I was like, okay, I feel good about that. And now it was time to talk to my inner teen. It was time to build that relationship with her, my inner young adult. And, to be quite honest, I thought that this one was going to be a little bit easier. I really did. I really thought, hey, I'll learn to forgive myself for all the awful things I've done. I will learn and it'll be fine. Like, I've already faced those demons. It'll be good. I did not. The demons that I faced were illusions. They were lies, because in the reality is that even though I have done awful things in my life, that was not the reason that I was hurting. That was not the reason I felt shame. That was not the reason. It was an illusion. Those demons were make-believe compared to the reality. And today, I started writing, because the first step, like one of my journal prompts was to address your inner child. Your first step is to acknowledge the pain that they went through, to acknowledge the pain, and to realize that what they went through happened, and that they're not broken, that their suffering, their pain doesn't mean that they're broken. I was like, okay. So I started writing, and I was like, this all started, seemed so fake. It seemed so much like, more like just recounting memories than it was emotions. And I know the difference. I know the difference between the two. And, so I was like, I'm just going to stop. Because this is not serving me. This really isn't. So, fine. Okay. And I don't know what happened. And just like any teenager in their own time, that's when she decided, all right, here it is. You want to acknowledge all the pain that you went through. Here it is. And I started to cry. And I don't mean just a few tears. I mean, cry, weep. My body was filled with the most excruciating hurt. It physically hurt my heart. And then all of a sudden, I was 23 again. And I was filled with this breathtakingly awful pain. And it was terrible. And I was all of a sudden just experiencing all of that trauma all over again. And I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. All I was doing was feeling. And for a few minutes, I kept telling myself, I don't want to hurt. I don't want to hurt anymore. I don't want to hurt like this anymore. I'm tired of hurting. I don't want to hurt anymore. And I remember what that was like. Because I remember saying those things. I remember telling myself I didn't want to hurt anymore. I just wanted it to stop. I just wanted it to stop. I just wanted the pain to stop. And back when I was in my 20s, there was only one way I figured I could stop that pain. But now, when I'm older, and after some time, something clicked. And I thought to myself, I have to ride this out. You can fight against the current or you can ride the wave. Which is what they tell you. Urge surf, ride the wave. They tell you that in DBT. Just ride the urge. Ride the wave. So I did. And it was hard. It was so fucking hard. And the voices came back. And the awful things that I would tell myself came back. And then I stood up for myself. I fought the demons. And I know that sounds, I don't fucking care how it sounds to you. I'm not worthless. And I can do hard things. And this pain is strong, but I'm stronger. And I am worth the effort. I am worth the fight. And I can survive this storm. I will not drown in it. I'm not going to let it drown me anymore. I'm worth the time it takes to heal. I am worth the effort. I am worthy. And I am hurting, but I am not broken. I am wounded, but I am not dead. And I will survive this storm. And I am not going to run anymore. And I am not going to hide anymore. And I am not going to ignore this anymore. And I'm telling you, I honestly don't think giving birth, and I gave birth naturally, I honestly don't think that giving birth hurt nearly as much as this did. It physically hurt. It felt like there was venom and poison just filling every nerve of my body. And I literally had to, like, I gasped of air because I couldn't breathe. And just sobbing. I'm pretty sure I'm dehydrated, but you know, it's whatever. But the phrase, I am not going to run. That's the phrase that something seemed to break. All of a sudden, the pain didn't seem so intense. Because I wasn't going to run. I think somewhere my inner teen, through all the raging that she was doing and all the pain that she was feeling and all the trauma that I was recounting, which if you've ever experienced any type of trauma that I did, and I mean trauma, I mean, let's just say I know how to take a punch. And every verbal, mental, emotional thing that you can experience, I've been a victim of SA. All in that period of my life. All in that period of my life. And what I'm realizing is I wasn't the villain. I was I hate to say victim. I wasn't even the victim. I was the survivor. That was gaslit into believing that I was the villain. Angry. I'm angry at myself a little bit. That I'm not even going to lie. There is a part of me that is incredibly pissed off at myself. And not because of what I've done, but because I couldn't protect myself. I mean, I guess I did, if you think about it. I survived. I literally blocked out that part of my mouth. I literally blacked out. I blacked out almost a decade of my life. That is some fucking survival skills there. I'm angry because I couldn't protect myself. And that's judging myself. I know that's being judgmental. That's judging myself really harshly, because can you judge a child for not knowing? Can you? I did the best I could. But the reality is that today I let her out, and I finally faced that pain. And I still have a lot to go. The things I let people do to me because I just wanted to be loved. The way I allowed people to treat me. The things that I believed about myself. Because I wanted to be accepted. Because I just wanted to be loved and seen. And the whole reason that I was terrified and of being alone was because I already felt alone. Because I had abandoned every sense of self to serve others. I didn't know who I was, and I was empty. And I was afraid of being alone, because if I'm alone, then that means I have to face the emptiness and the void and the pain. But the reality is, I can't go back and change that part of my life. And I don't know if I can ever 100% erase that trauma. And I don't think that I honestly want to. Because that's what they teach you in therapy, and that's what they teach you, is it's not about getting rid of the anger and the pain. It's not about getting rid of it. It's not about ridding yourself of the things that you think inherently are bad about yourself or bad about your life, or the things that people had done with you. And you can spend your entire life either being hurt or angry, or you can just accept it. I didn't run. And you know, the thought I am going to leave you on this, on a very nerdy thought. You know, the thing that I thought about when I was in the deepest, hardest part of my breakdown today. And I don't really think of it as a breakdown. I think it was more of a release, you know, it wasn't a breakdown. It was more of an emotional experience. I don't know. I didn't break down. Because breaking down means that you were broken. In the middle of my emotional crisis, when I was experiencing all of that pain, and I said to myself, I am not going to run. I have fought too hard to be strong enough. I have worked too hard. I am too tenacious. I have got too much fight in me. I am not going to let this win. The thought that went through my head immediately after thinking those thoughts to myself was, I thought about Jim Henson's The Labyrinth. When Sarah is at the very end. And the Goblin King is all trying to convince her to stay and saying all these things and all of like very toxic. Convincing her. And she stands there and she's all, I have fought my way here. And you have no power over me. That's what I thought. That's what I felt like. I know that sounds silly and sentimental. Again, I don't really give a shit how you feel about it. Because this is my experience. This is my story. And that's what I thought. In that moment, I felt like I was standing there staring at this enormous amount of pain. I think I called it carnage. This carnage of these things, not that I did, but that were done to me. And I was looking at this reality that I had somehow twisted in my head to make me the villain, because the shit that was actually the truth, the reality of what had happened in that period of my life was not that I did to other people. Now, did I do things out of that pain? Yes. I am not saying that I am completely innocent, because I did made some really bad choices and do some really bad things to people that out of my trauma. That is no excuse. That is not an excuse. But when I really took a radically honest look at that period in my life and came to the realization that it wasn't a period in my life that was difficult to look upon because I was such an awful person, but it was a period in my life that it was difficult to look upon because I was such a wounded person. Empty and filled with nothing but pain. The trauma of assault, the trauma of manipulation, the trauma of abuse. And all by people that I loved so desperately. And I stood up for myself, to myself. And that's huge. That's huge. And it was hard. And it was scary. But I was brave. And sometimes that's all I need, is to remind myself that I am brave. I can't change the past. I can't. unring those bells. I can't. I can't relive that period of my life. I can't erase it because I tried. I tried to erase that period out of my life. You know, it's that whole let's pretend like nothing in the past happened. Let's pretend like that doesn't exist. Because the reality is that you pretend like that part of yourself doesn't exist, that part of your past doesn't exist, that pain, that suffering. And then what happens is that history repeats itself. And it did. And not anymore for me. I'm making different choices. My inner child, my inner young adult, and my future self, and my present self, they're worth fighting for. I'm, and if I have to fight by myself, I will. And that doesn't scare me anymore. Because the past 48 hours, I have faced the worst of me. And there's still more to go. And there's still more shadow work I have to do. And there's still more pain I have to confront and accept. But today I faced the worst of it, and I came out the other side. People don't want me. They don't have to have me. I am not chasing anymore. Leave. People want to stay, they can stay. Because here's the thing that here is the inner teen. Here is where the anger, here's where the angry inner teen comes in. Here's where the inner young adult comes in, because I am fierce. And it can be, part of it is my BPD, a part of it is my trauma, and a part of it is just who I fucking am. I would go to the ends of the earth for the people that I love. I would go to the depths of hell for the people I love. To see them laugh, to see them smile. I would sit in the dark with them. Just sit, and I would hold them until they were ready to walk. And I don't go and do that for everyone. I don't do that for anyone because of my trauma, because of my everything that I've been through. I don't trust anyone. So if I have trusted you and you take advantage of that, you no longer deserve that. And that is the present me and the future me protecting the rest of me. I am not afraid of being alone. And today showed me that. Because there are people willing to stay. I am willing to stay. I am fucking amazing. I have been to hell and back. Literally, almost literally been to hell and back. I have faced death I don't know how many times, and by my own choice. I have loved until it hurt me. Really hurt me. I have given until I had nothing left. I had let people crush my soul, take my heart, and twist my mind to the point that I couldn't take it. And I had to shut down. And I still survived. I love fiercely. I'm loyal. And I'm strong. And I'm smart. And I'm funny. And I'm goofy. And I am me. I'm pretty fucking amazing. And I still hurt. And I still bleed. And there is a huge part of me that today I got to heal. And that part of me was my spirit, my heart. Because I have a big heart. I really do. I have a big heart and a stubborn streak. And sometimes that doesn't serve me well. But today it served me. I know I'm taking a lot of dramatic pause and I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. I don't have room in my life anymore to hate. And I don't have room for grudges. I just don't. And nothing's more annoying. Nothing's more annoying when realizing that you are of your own, the person of your own making, and you are in the life of your own making. Yes, again, and I say this repeatedly, we are not responsible for the trauma and the abuse that has been put upon us. If you've been abused, if you've been assaulted, if any of blah 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 blah. We are not responsible for that. And the trauma that is put upon us and the things that we experience after that. What we are responsible for is how we survive that. And I realized I didn't heal from any of that. I just ran from it. Like I said, built these big ass fucking bunkers in my head and said, here, this is your room and this is your room, and you go there and you go there to my inner child, my inner young adult, and you stay there and you don't say a word. And I am going to move on. And it didn't serve me. But here I am, doing the hard things. And that's something to be proud of. I think I find it annoying. I find it annoying that I find a lot of things annoying. No, I don't find it annoying because that's me judging myself. I don't give a shit how old I am. I don't. Because it's not too late. It's never too late. I didn't miss my life. Because I lived it. I didn't miss all these things. I didn't miss the flowers of my youth, and I didn't miss all these things because the reality is I'm better now than I have ever been in my entire life. I'm so fucking tired. I'm tired of people who don't appreciate me. And you know what? I can't make people feel how they don't want to feel. I can't make people feel one way or the other, and that's fine, and that's okay. I am no longer can concern myself with that. I'm not. Because there are people in my life who are amazing, and they're wonderful, and they're supportive. And it's not even that they are doing anything exceptional. Like, they're not going like showering me with compliments or telling me how beautiful I am, because that's the thing. That's the thing. When I say I have these wonderful people in my life and these people who, it's not that they're showering me and telling me how beautiful I am or how like exceptional I am. What they're doing, these people who are supportive, they're just checking in. Hey, I just want to remind you, you've got this. Hey, just a reminder, I still care about you. And if you need anything, let me know. That's fucking awesome. They don't do anything. They don't shower me with compliments. They don't feed the ego. They don't band-aid the wounds. And honestly, most of the time they call me on my shit. And not in that harsh way. And then sometimes when I need it, because I am now in an emotionally mature place where I can express what I need emotionally and mentally. And sometimes I need to hear that I'm pretty. Or sometimes I need to hear the reasons that they are friends with me, because sometimes the voices in my head do have a tendency to get a little louder than I want them to. And that's okay, and I don't judge that. But then I also know how to express what I need. And the reality is I'm at the point in my life that if I withdraw myself from your life, it is not because I wanted to. It is not because I chose, hey, you're not worthy of me. It is because, so I just want to point that out there. If I am withdrawing myself from people's lives, it is not because I don't give a shit about them. It is because I am no longer accepting being treated like garbage. Do I think that they're a bad person? No. Do I care about them any less? No. But I respect myself more. And if I have to stand alone and I have to play solitaire and cuddle with my pillows, so be it. So be it. And my 2 cats, because I'm thinking about getting a second cat. But today I hurt the worst that I've ever felt in about 20 years. Less than that. 17. I face that pain, and I don't think that there is anything from this day forward, save maybe a few massive exceptions. And by massive, I mean like loss of loved ones. That can be worse than what I face today. Am I going to face more pain and hurt and suffering later? Yeah. Because my healing journey is not done yet. I still got shit to do. I'm still going to have bad days. I'm still going to be angry and I'm still going to be sad. But today, I discovered in writing out my pain and facing my fears and facing that hurt and experiencing it and writing out that storm, I discovered what I was made of. And woe be unto anyone who ever makes me feel less than what I deserve. And that's a pretty fucking great feeling. And it makes me really, really excited for the first time in this entire journey to discover what my future self is going to look like. I no longer wonder to myself, I don't know, I don't like it. Doesn't fucking matter. Whoever my future self ends up being is going to be pretty fucking fantastic. And she's going to be unstoppable. And she's going to be somebody you want to know. And I may not be famous and I may not be rich and I may live in this little, may be a nobody in this little world that I live in. But that's okay. Because I'm going to live. I'm going to live to the best of my ability. And I'm going to take life by the balls. And I'm going to stop being afraid of myself. And I'm going to stop being afraid of being alone. And I'm going to stop being afraid of being left. And I'm going to stop. I don't want that anymore. I don't want that anymore. I want to be loved. And that's a choice. I want to be chosen. But I don't want to chase. I want to be chosen. Not because I want to be chosen because I'm better than anybody else. I want to be chosen because they want to. And if you don't choose me, that's fine. And that goes with friends and family and fucking romantic partners or fuck my next pet. I don't know. I want to be chosen because I'm worthy of being chosen. Not because I've proven that I should be chosen. I'm funny and I'm smart and I'm goofy and I'm dramatic and I'm highly intelligent and I'm fucking resilient. And I know I've said all these things before, but for the first time ever, I'm really not afraid of being alone. I'm not. I'm not afraid of the silence. I'm not afraid of the monsters in my head. And I'm not afraid of somebody not loving me. And it's a crazy, weird place to be when you've spent your entire life desperate, desperate to be loved and to be cared for and to matter to someone. Because today I mattered to myself. I mattered to myself. And that's growth. And that's strength. And that's courageous. And I wasn't afraid. And that's pretty fucking awesome. Because I couldn't have said that 6 months ago and a year ago. I was broken. I was empty. I was searching. I was desperate to be loved, to connect, to feel like I had a place in this world where I mattered. And now I do. Because the place I have in this world is right where I'm at. And wherever I end up. And I matter to me. And not in that selfish way where I only matter to me, but in that way of I finally matter to me. I like cuddles and hugs and love, and I love my friends and my family and the people in my life with everything I am. And I really hope that anyone, like those who know me, I really hope that they get the opportunity to experience that. But if you don't, that's okay too. Not everyone is allowed in my house. Because not everyone deserves to be in my house. I am no longer giving out free tickets. So, I'm having my sassy pants on today. Well, tonight. Because I survived. And I won. And I am ready for the next bad time and the next storm. I feel ready. And I know it's going to keep coming. And I know I'm going to have bad days and bad weeks and bad months. And I know that this is a ride that I'm going to have to learn how to just hold on sometimes. And that's okay. So, I have now talked myself out. And I really don't care if anybody listens or watches this. It's my own little video diary, I guess. My vlog. Then I wish some people would stay, but I'm not going to stop them if they go. And that's okay. I wish them the best. And I hope that they find happiness. Whereas I'm going to go find mine. Because I'm good looking. And I'm smart. And I'm goofy. And I deserve that. And now I'm going to go play some 76 and shoot some super mutants in the face. Because they deserve that. Thanks for listening to my rant. And have a great Saturday. Because it is Saturday. Remember, smooth seas don't make skilled sailors. Night, everyone.